Hey guys, it's Steve Becker from Stereo Speakers Refurbished in Georgia. We're coming to you live. We're going to try and purchase Apple software, Final Cut. So these videos, trust me, they will eventually get better. So anyways, there's only one person doing all the writing of the script, doing the camera work, the video work, and when we get some help, we'll do Final Cut Studio. We'll make these videos a lot better. We're new at this. We're wedding photographers. We're models. We take pictures of models. But we're interested in selling and buying on eBay and Amazon. We love the videos from retro. We like the videos from, we've seen gentlemen from Australia doing some great videos. Analog Toys and Retro Blast. We love what you guys do, man. Amazing. So let's get into it. This is our showroom, basically. We also have a showroom in the other part of the building, which is shelves. We believe in storing the collectible toys, whether it be Ideal Toys, Marx Toys, Kenner Toys, Remco, 1960s, 70s, early 80s toys. We don't really review or repair newer toys because I think people, myself, just have a bigger interest in the vintage toys. We go to Joe Atlanta, we'll go to Comic-Con, we'll go to, in Atlanta, we'll go to the people at Toy Atlanta, we'll go to, we've been up to Chattanooga, we've been to a couple toy shows there. The toy shows and comic book shows, we'll show you some really cool things. Besides, the great folks on eBay and Amazon have been helping us out. So what we're going to get into today is vintage toys. 1968, Mattel came out with a little action figure. Boys are not like girls. Girls do Barbie dolls, boys do action figures. So this is a Major Matt Mason toy. The space race in the 1960s started a huge thing beyond James Bond. So this is the space crawler. We actually took this apart last night to try to learn the inside of it. There's a motor in here. There's a winch in here. The toy would actually use 2 D batteries, and you could select the adjuster on here, and you could either move it to operate the winch. It would actually sit, believe it or not, on top of the space station. We'll show you in a minute. And then it would also, if you switch it the other way, it would just crawl along. And the Major Matt Mason that we collect would go inside here like this, and then he would sit in there with his little helmet. And I mean, these, if you like anything to do with Apollo space program, Gemini program, I grew up with all that stuff. I was a child. I saw the Apollo moon landing live when I was probably 10 years old, 1969, which almost didn't happen because of problems with, we didn't have computers back in those days. I mean, we just didn't, and we didn't have special effects, you know. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have a lot of things that people have today. I mean, think about it. Computers have only been around since like when Apple and Hewlett-Packard and Dell and you know, started all that business. So we repaint these. We also repair these with 14mm wire. Don't use copper wire. It'll change the color of the doll, of the action figure. The Mattel space toys are great. We also get into, we repaint these, just the action figure with, we use Monster Maker paint. So anyways, we'll talk a little later about how we disassemble this. We found a little bit of moisture in here. The motor was to be tested on the space crawler with what we use is D batteries. When we attach one side, positive side, the other negative side, we pull the motor out, and the motor is found to be needing more work involved. Probably have to disassemble the motor or get a motor from something like Radio Shack. So anyways, we're talking about 3-volt motor. Anyways, we also use, highly recommend, to take apart the space crawler, we use Phillips screwdrivers. We've got number 1, we got 0, we got number 2. It's probably going to be a number 2 Phillips screwdriver. You have to keep an eye on those screws. They look like sheet metal screws. They're not wood screws. Sandpaper to clean up the contacts on it. everything inside will be corroded. We use things like baking soda. It seems to be safe. We went into another video a little while ago about repairing and trying to work on these incredible toys of the 60s. This is a original Hot Wheels supercharger. We know that it doesn't work. It has kind of a Howard Johnson's roof to it. We took it apart. I'm going to show you what it looks like inside. toys.Gold, and there's another gentleman on YouTube video that does great videos on repairing the Mattel Hot Wheels. It's very easy to find that gentleman. He does unbelievable shows what a super tuner is. Does great videos of the Hot Wheels. This is what it looks like inside. It's basically just two wheels that spin around here and here that basically move the car through inside, because the cars are made out of metal, but they didn't have a motor in the like the motorific did. And over here, I'm going to show you. This is copper strapping. It's made out of copper, and we replaced the handle because it was missing. And believe it or not, I put batteries in this, and to my surprise, it actually works. $2 worth of copper strapping from Home Depot, Lowe's. It comes on a roll. It looks like, if you remember the toy guns from the 60s, they had caps. Looks like something from a cap gun almost. But anyways, improvise is the name of the game. Repair at budget, low cost is the name of the game. We have been getting into toys like this, zeroids. We talked another video about how great it is to buy these toys if you can find them on eBay, Amazon, on Etsy, OfferUp. There's a lot of Craigslist maybe. But going to the toy shows like Toy Atlanta, Joe Atlanta, you know, you'll find the guys. There's a gentleman named Spidey, and he is great. He's also on eBay. He knows a lot about the zeroids. I've never seen him sell the action set. It's called Action Set and Commander Set. I haven't seen him send that, but he does sell the zeroids, and he also has a great collection of Spidey on eBay and also the Joe Atlanta, Toy Atlanta. Spidey is an expert in all the stuff about Major Matt Mason, the crawlers, all the toys, the space stations from the early days of Mattel. This toy here, Zeroids, was made by Ideal Toys. So anyways, we were just going to show you more today about motorific and these motorific cars. How do you repair a car like this when it doesn't work? What do you do when you have, this is the truck assembly from the motorific. It uses a tiny little Ideal Toys, 1968, 1969. Uses a tiny little motor inside it. I'll try to turn it and show you what the motor looks like. This motor is the same motor that goes in the zeroids. Okay, same motor, and this is the top part of the toy. Okay, it's the shell, and it sits on top of the motorific cars like this. The tires are 1-inch tires. I have found replacement tires that have come off of cars we've gotten from eBay. I'll show you in a little bit, that are easy to pop those tires off because the tires can wear out. And the motors use AA batteries inside it. This is the front of it, that's the back of it. This is motorific. Motorific had great design and great appeal to kids in the 60s. Here's the car. Now the car is a lot more delicate. Same motor as the zeroids, same motor as the motorific. Uses AA batteries. Very hard to deal with the tires. The tires, I'm looking for 5/8 rubber tires. If anybody knows where I can buy those, let me know. But on eBay, I've seen the tires from the motorific cars, but they don't last very long. They're very delicate. So you put AA batteries in there. There's steering involved in the front, no steering in the back. But what is a motorific car? Oh my gosh, the cases they had. Look at these cases they had for the motorific motor. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It almost looks like a glass case. It's made out of acrylic. But plastic case, just for the motor. Because the motors were from Japan, Hong Kong. They weren't made in America. When Ideal Toys made these toys, they made, let me show you, a plastic shell of the cars what's great is, if you like old cars, here's an example of the cars. I mean, they had probably, oh my gosh, a huge assortment of tracks and cars from the motorific days. This is the outside of the car, this is the inside of the car. It's a shell. It actually, this is an El Camino, I believe, or a Ford F-150. This is a Corvette, and it's plastic, and it sits unbelievably on, it actually sits on the top of the car, and it snaps in. And, you know, there were slot cars, right, from the old days, but the slot cars weren't as detailed as these cars. They were all plastic on the top, plastic carriage on the bottom, but you could race them across a kitchen floor. But they had tracks, and they called it, over there in the corner, it's called torture track. That's what you would buy, is the torture track for the motorific toys. We're going to go quickly into boaterific. These are easier to repair. The motorific toys, I've been trying to repair the motorific carriages. Very difficult. I've used glue and wood from Monster, Gorilla Glue. I've used wood in there to try to repair the undercarriage of the motorific toys. Very hard to repair them. I don't have the parts, so I have to take the parts off another car. But this motorific, this boaterific here, the boaterific looks like this inside. It sits on a stand, and it has a plastic cover. Why do we like the boaterific? Somewhat easier, much simpler to repair. This is what it looks like inside. It has metal inside, and it has a tiny little gear, one gear, and another gear. Very different than the Mattel Space Crawler and the Johnny Express tractor trailers, which have a lot more parts inside. So with only two little gears in here and these metal holders that hold the AA batteries in there, I got a guy who on eBay who sent me these toys, and now I have a collection. I love them, these boaterific toys. They go in a bathtub. They actually had a Ideal Toys sold something. The detail in the toys, you know, for a boat, motorific boats by Ideal Toys, the detail in it was incredible. Snaps on top. Here's another motorific boat. This is kind of like my boat I use on Lake Lanier in Gainesville, Georgia, where I'm at. This is the top part, so it comes right off. This was not damaged, but sometimes there's corrosion in here, and we have to use things like baking soda sometimes to remove the rust or corrosion. If you left the AA batteries in there a long, long time and didn't take them out. Just like the cameras, stereos. Take out on a portable device, take the batteries out if you're not going to use the item. Don't let it sit in there a long time. It'll destroy the toy or the radio or the camera. Take your batteries out, people, if you're not going to use it. So anyways, what do we use with this? Let me show you the Monster Maker. It comes in a bottle. It's about $2 to $3 or $4 or $5. But we repainted the major mats, and we also work on, this is the space station, parts of it from Mattel. This is the middle piece. I can show the whole entire thing in a minute. The Zeroids toys, there's also, in the Zeroids, this is the solar wheel that spins around, and the robot actually sits inside this, believe it or not, while you turn on the little motor and it goes backwards and forwards, and it was great. Special thanks go to Paul and Seal Becker in Amherst, New York, Snyder, New York, Buffalo, where I had gotten sick as a child, and this was my favorite toy besides Gold Key comic books. We'll get into that in a few minutes or in another video. Gold Key Comics did all the Hanna-Barbera and Warner Brothers comics. They did all the Disney movies like Aristocats, and they did Where's Huddles, and you know, the Zeroids and the Hercules and the Space Ghost. You know, how can you watch Space Ghost? We didn't have any viewers, but I will show in a minute the great toys of the 1960s. You know, Mattel and Hasbro and Ideal Toys, Remco, and even Marx, they made incredible toys back then that were so, you know, we got into finally plastic away from the metal, but it was still, the design of it, the creation of the artwork on the boxes was unbelievable. This is an example of Mattel when they came along with the Major Matination. We had all kinds of play sets with Major Matt Mason. I've been a card collector now for a little while. This is the G.I. Joe card collecting. You know, toys today don't do this. They don't. In Toys R Us, or we've gone to KB Toys, I walked in there and the only thing I wanted to walk out before they closed Toys R Us was Justice League, and it could have been Toy Biz or somebody like that, and it was Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Batman, Superman. Out of all the toys at Toys R Us, that's all I wanted to take home. And I actually left it in the store when the store closed and didn't even bother to buy it. It's just the toys are made so cheap today. These toys made back then, you know, look at this. Look at the work put into these toys. The artwork. It's unbelievable. Look at G.I. Joe. This is like acrylic or watercolors, oil paintings. I mean, this isn't, you know, beautiful drawings, great artwork. I mean, even Major Matt Mason, when it was with Barbie doll and the G.I. Joes, Mattel would spend half of their income just on advertising on television, because we didn't have YouTube available. We didn't have the internet to advertise your product. But special thanks go out to Ruth Elliott and her husband for inventing Barbie and inventing the Mattel, all these great Mattel toys. Here's a G.I. Joe, Hasbro. When they made Barbie, they had to make something for the boys. It's not a doll, it's called an action figure. This is the front and the back. It was a 12-inch figure in the beginning. We didn't have the little 3-inch figures. That came later with Star Wars. And anyways, I just wanted to go briefly into show you, here's some more Mattel, the Recano jet from the people at Major Matt Mason who invented this. When Major Matt Mason was invented, they had people from Kennedy Space Center, believe it or not, and they had folks from NASA that actually, they were able to find out the details of what the Gemini and Apollo program was, the space program, and they were actually able to duplicate. Does this not look like a real astronaut suit? I mean, this is not something they made up. This is from the original Apollo or Kennedy Space Center Gemini program, and it looks like the figures from 2001 Space Odyssey also, which were available at the recent Comic-Con in San Diego. They do a Comic-Con in Atlanta, but it's not as big as the one at Comic-Con in San Diego, or WonderCon. That's where you might see some of this newer stuff. There's also a toy show in Las Vegas too. They do an electronics show there, consumer electronics show. But the Comic-Con is serious. Comic-Con is very hard to get tickets. You have to buy the tickets a year in advance, and half the time you have to, almost looks like you have to know somebody to get a ticket at Comic-Con. So this Joe Atlanta and Toy Atlanta is incredible. March 8th, 9th, and 10th in Atlanta this weekend. I could show you also some other toys that we get into. We like, I found a gentleman at Toy Atlanta, Joe Atlanta, who does these Major Matt Mason, but I like that. He does $6 Million Man. $6 Million Man had this incredible toy, the Bionic Transporter. Now, when Major Matt Mason came around, I was really young, 5 to 10 years old, and you know, growing up with Major Matt Mason and Barbie dolls when it all started. But the $6 Million Man with Lee Majors, this wasn't really my childhood time, but you know, they made some great toys with Evel Knievel, with Kenner and Hasbro. They made the $6 Million Woman. I have been trying to collect that too. There's great toys from the 60s and 70s. The Hot Wheels toys. Here's a couple things from Hot Wheels. I think we showed this in another video. This is all mechanical. There's no electronics in this usually. If there is, there are little batteries in there that just run gauges or something. But you know, when you build a toy and it's all mechanical, just use rubber bands to power the little cars from original Hot Wheels, the original 12 cars, 1968. So you know, we're really lucky that we also have been interested in this. This is a original wood balsa airplane from Cox. Cox Airplanes, the division of Cox, C-O-X, was all real balsa wood. Imagine that. But it has a real engine in here. This engine hooks up to a battery and uses real gas. Not the gas you put in your car. It's special kind of gasoline, like liquid, that pours into this little gas tank. that I really want to learn how to do this. What you did with these, this is before remote control airplanes.